Gigpreneur, what is going on? Welcome. Happy, happy what? Happy Monday. In hopes that you squeezed more out of your day than the day squeezed out of you. My name is Sean Azimi, and I am your ex corporate grinder. I used to work in a call center corporate environment for many years, putting in 14, 16-hour days, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week, until my pancreas quit, shut down, didn't want to work no more, and left me unemployable with nothing to fall back on. And that really stung. And it got me kind of redirected onto this whole online space and this gig economy. And here we are. I help folks like you, like myself, to start a side business online. And you and I both grow it using social media. If that resonates with you, you've been thinking about it, you want something, you want some extra money, you want some write offs, you like it being flexible, then drop the word side gig in the comments and I'll get back with you after this live. In fact, you can go to sidegigshawn.com. I keep forgetting to promote it. Sidegigshawn.com, answer a few questions there so I know what you're looking for and where you're coming from, and then we'll have that conversation. So check out sidegigshawn.com. All right, let's go. I don't know about you, but I've had quite a few interviews. Not recently, but in my lifetime, I have had 38 jobs in 10 different industries. Now, that's a lot of jobs, yes, but imagine how many interviews I've gone on and not got the job, or how many jobs were 2 or 3 interviews, most of them in person, right? Um, I think maybe one or two, maybe one job was just through a Zoom, but yeah, everything else was in person. So imagine that, right? Now, um, you got to be at your best behavior. You got to be jolly, up and happy, and really be able to bring some value to the company and convince the interviewer that you are that person, right? Yeah. Let me give you a little story. So, an elevator door is almost about to close. There's a bunch of people in the elevator already. They look like they're suited and booted and ready for something, a business meeting or maybe an interview. And here comes this guy, the janitor, with his rolling mop bin and his mop kind of rolling into this elevator, and kind of pushes the door open, squeezes himself in there, and yes, I get that a lot. Thank you. I take that as a compliment. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. That's funny. Um, so, yeah, he pushes the door open and kind of squeezes in to the elevator, if you would, and then just about the door is and this is full. Like it looks like it's really full. Just about the door wanting to close, a lady, sharp dressed, kind of rushes in into the elevator, kind of holds the door open and squeezes herself in and pushes the close button a few times. Well, then there's this red light warning sign above the elevator that starts to blink and it says overload. the lady looks at the janitor and says, "I think you should get out because you have the mop, and the bin, and that's why it's overloading." The janitor says to the lady, "But you're the last one who came in." The lady says, "Listen, I don't have time for this. I'm late for a very important meeting, and I need you to get out so I can get to my appointment." And kind of shoves the janitor out of the elevator and pushes close door, and the door closes, leaves the janitor outside. Well, they get off the floor they need to get off on, and she rushes in, sees the secretary, and she says to wait, and she finds herself waiting in the waiting room anxiously, right? There's people who come after her, and they go into the room and maybe interview and then leave, and yet here she is still sitting and waiting. So after a while, she gets up and goes to the secretary and says, "Hey, I came in way before a lot of these people." And she's like upset, right? "I came in way before a lot of these people. It was supposed to be an interview, and I've been waiting and waiting, and nobody's called my name, and I don't know what's going on. I need an answer." Well, the secretary turns around and says, "Yes, we realize that you are here for an interview, but I gotta tell you, the interview process has ended for a couple hours. And unfortunately, I was told you were not one of the candidates to be considered for the job." She was so upset. She's like, "What are you talking about? This is ridiculous. I didn't even see anybody." Secretary says, "Apparently, your interview is already done." She says, "I demand an answer. Who's the owner of this company?" And she barges into this room that says president. She barges into this room, and her jaw drops. Behind the desk is the janitor sitting doing the interviews. Well, more like a CEO dressed as a janitor. I think that's so clever. I have been in those interviews where it's been, one day of an interview, and all the candidates just show up that day. And if you don't have a shot at all. And I've been in those interviews. It's a little strange, a little overwhelming, to be in a waiting room knowing everybody else is applying for your job, basically what you want. So it's kind of awkward, right? But hey, listen, you never, ever, ever know who you run into. You never know. Never know when. You never know who. So sometimes the people whom you do not expect at all to be a player, they're the real VIP. They're the real MVP, and you got to be careful. This is the reason why, if you have your MVPs, what I refer to as your MVPs, your morals, your values, your principles, if you have those dialed in and you know exactly what you stand for, then you're not going to bend them in any situation. So, for example, if you run into a janitor or a CEO, a multi-millionaire or homeless, You're still a nice person. You're still a kind person. You're still a considerate person. Why? Because that's just who you are. That's part of your MVPs. You're not going to bend it just because somebody's a janitor or somebody's a CEO, right? So it's so crucial. The I don't know. It's not about burning a bridge because you haven't really built a bridge yet, right? So it's important to, again, pick your MVPs carefully, place them in each category carefully. And then once you do that, be very strict about changing it, amending it, bending it for any kind of a circumstance situation, right? So you're careful with them and you are very postured towards them. And that kind of, hey, if you're, I'll give you this and I'll leave you with this. You could be kind towards your spouse, your child, okay? But not kind towards everybody else, right? So that doesn't make you a kind person. That makes you a very conditional kind person, right? There's only two people, you're like your spouse and your child. That's it, right? So if you're a kind person, you're kind to everyone regardless, right? So I want you to keep that in mind. Hey, listen, if you're going for interviews out there, then keep that in mind. You never know. The guy at the parking lot, you know, he may be the CEO. He may be the one who's going to interview you, right? And you'd be like, what? Um, it can be very interesting. And hey, you could be talking to somebody at Starbucks in line and not think about anything at all. And then 2 hours down the road, you're having a meeting with that person and you wished you were nicer, right? So be very careful with your MVPs, be very strict with them, and hey, be kind to everyone, be nice to everyone. You, here's the thing, I'll leave you with this. If someone is not being nice or being rude or, just whatever, and you don't feel comfortable, because if you're not that person, if you can't match that, then you're going to be uncomfortable. You're like, this is not where I want to be, right? So, um, my suggestion to you, my recommendation to you would be to be okay with saying, hey, I'm not comfortable with this, right? And don't put yourself in those situations as much as you possibly can. I mean, most of the time you're going to know that, hey, if it's a healthy situation, if it's not a healthy situation. So don't put yourself into situations that are going to be uncomfortable to you, right? In that sense. So with that, hopefully you guys get some love, some inspiration, some value. I appreciate you. Drop your thoughts, your comments, your feedback below. Let this feed grow. And hey, you may know somebody who can benefit from this. Tag them. Share this with them. Let's go already. If you're not following me, come on. Let's go. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, X, LinkedIn, Threads, and I go with Side Gig Sean. With that, I am Sean Azimi. I used to work in a corporate environment, call center environment, many, many years, putting in 12, 14, 16-hour days, 6 days a week, sometimes 7 days a week. No joke. Until my pancreas quit, shut down on me, and left me unemployable with nothing to fall back on. Kind of sucked. So I got redirected to this whole online space, this whole gig economy, if you will. And now I help folks like you, like me, to start a side gig, side business online. And you and I grow it using social media. If that resonates with you, if you've been thinking about it, you're like, you know what, it's the holidays. I would like to earn some more money and not have to go to my credit cards, or you may want some more write offs, you know, whether you're serious or curious. Go to sidegigshawn.com and answer a couple of questions, few questions there, so that I get to know you a little bit before we have that conversation. With that, I am signing off until tomorrow when we do it all over again.